Hello, my painting friends. Welcome to our first painting session together. I am just setting up my painting palette and I will tell you more about this, but I just have this palette. I bought it empty and I squeezed the paint in myself. I am running out of a lot of the paints, so I need to replenish, but there's no need yet because you don't need much paint. Here I am putting some water on the colors that I think I'm going to use. I just use my two brushes for it because I'm lazy and it's quicker with with two brushes in one go. So I now have to dry them a little bit so they don't contain too much water. I am using a 4 and an 8 round brush, but to be honest, it doesn't really matter which brushes I use. All kinds of brushes, all brands are different, so you just need to look at what you're painting and see if the brush is not too big for the detail that you want to achieve. So I am starting with my little 4 because I just want to do a little line to indicate the lemon branch, and I'm just going to do that with really a very light touch, just indicating where I want the branches to be. Okay, so that's enough. Now I'm going to clean my brush and I'm going to go and get some yellow because I want to start doing the lemons, or at least just indicating where they're going to go. So I am going to draw little lemons, but they're going to be fairly pale, or just an indication of, there we go, where I'm going to put those lemons. Voila, there you go, see? So just very quickly with a couple of brush strokes, not more than that, just indicating the lemons themselves. I'm making sure there's a nice shape, but that's about it. There we go, look at that. That one needs a little bit of work. That was a little bit quick. So let's shape it better, make it a nice oval. Give it a little point there. That's better. And then this one needs a little bit plumping out. Voila. And I'm just careful to shape them nicely. If I have to make them bigger to achieve the shape, I will do. But yeah, hopefully it's easy to achieve the shape. Now I've cleaned my brush and I'm into the olive green. These are all Winsor and Newton paints for those who are interested. And I'm going to start making very simple leaves. As you can see, I put my brush down, I press down, and then I make a little leaf. And that's sap green, that one. So I'm now using a mixture of those two because, of course, in nature not everything is the same color green. So we're just going to keep things simple, enjoy what we're doing. And that one is perylene green, so that's a really dark one. I'm just going to try and maybe do some shading or give the leaves a little bit extra in their colouring, but yeah, it might not work out. I might just have to go over it again to sort of make it more even, but that's okay. It's a good paper, so as long as everything is still wet, you can play about with it. I'm just adding more leaves because I'm thinking I need to fill up this branch. There we go. Oh well, never mind. It's fine. It's fine. I want a little pointy end on the leaf. More there. Different sizes. That's all okay. And then here I did touch into that dark green, the perylene green. So now my green is a little bit darker, so that's what I wanted. So that's good. So then I realized I wanted to make sure that I could show you my cloth as well, because you need water for watercolor paint, because that's in the name, watercolor. But you also need to have a certain amount of water in your brush, and if you have too much, your painting is going to become watery, and if you have not enough, your painting is going to become too painty almost. So you just have to clean your brush after you've used a color, and then you dry it off, and then generally I go and get a little bit of water again to then go and get the paint, and so that playing about with the water and the paint is one of the challenges of watercolor painting. And to be honest, yeah, sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. And I think that's the magic of watercolor paint. Sometimes you'll be in that mood and it will just work out, and the amount of water that you have in your brush is just the right amount. See, I went into my paint without any water, and now I've got a real thick consistency there. So now I'm putting some shadows on. Look at that. But yeah, just trying things out, not being afraid to make a mistake, not being afraid to ruin the paper, because to be honest, this paper, if you think about it, the huge page that I have, it's not going to cost me more than, a couple of pounds. If I have to throw this away, then, it's not like the end of the world, is it now? But of course, we're going to try and do our best. So now I am thickening up the branch. Before we just did a few lines just to indicate where the lemons and where the leaves would be. But of course, now we're going to make them a little bit bigger and even do some more little branches coming off the big branches. But this way you can see that it's actually a branch from a little tree or from a little plant. So I'm really happy with this, and even though this was very quick, in the next video I'm going to do the same painting, well, on the other side of my page, and I'm going to make it much more intricate, so you'll see the difference. And here I decide to add some transparent gold deep to make some shadow on my lemon, but I'm not really sure whether it's going to make a difference. I just try, and I'm having fun, and that's the main thing. So let's see if I can make a little bit of a darker side, just to indicate that in fact the sun is coming from about where my water jar is. That's the easiest way for me to tell you. And then of course, because I did that on the lemons, I decided that I needed to make the leaves a little bit more two color as well, so where they have some more shadow in certain places. So I'm going to try and add that to it. But yeah, I mean, I'm liking the effect for a really quick painting. I think this is fine. I've really enjoyed it, and I hope you have too. So I will see you in the next video for the next painting.